ever wonder why every Yid is called a Yid? What's a Yid? A Yid is a Yehudi. Why are we called Yehudim? We're not all from Shevet Yehuda. So why are we all called Yehudim? The answer really can be found in the Tag of Yonasan ben Uziel. The Tag of Yonasan ben Uziel says the reason we're all called Yehudim is because Yehuda was Moedeh. And every Yid has to have the kayak to be able to be Moedeh. When we get up in the morning and we say, Moedeh ani lefanecha, we're Moedeh to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You ever see somebody receives a taiva from his friend, and the friend comes to thank him, and the person says, no, you didn't have to. You didn't have to. It's okay, you didn't have to. Why? Because I don't want to be indebted to him. If he had to do it, then I owe him a chayiv. Somebody doesn't want to have a chayiv. So he says, you didn't have to. That means if you did it, it was on a voluntary basis. If you were a volunteer, I don't owe you anything. I didn't make you do it. You did it because you wanted to. I had to do it. Now suddenly, okay, now I owe him. So a Yid has to have the kayak to be able to be Moedeh. And that's Hakaras HaToyv. We owe a tremendous debt of Hakaras HaToyv to many, many people who made this take place, who allowed for this Bais Medrash to be built, and allowed for this event to take place. And the problem is that if I start naming names, invariably there are going to be those who are going to be missed. But there are a few that have to be mentioned. First of all, the donors, large and small, those who stepped up to the plate financially and gave so that this could happen. Thank you to all of you. It doesn't matter how large that donation was. Everyone gave what they were able to give, and a great big thank you to every one of you. There were several times at the outset of this project when it seemed time to give up. We had the plans, we had the drawings, but it just looked like it was a mountain that was too high to climb. And at that point, there were several people who refused to give up. And those people, with their persistence, made this dream a reality. I would like to take a moment to mention especially a good friend, Harav Zisha Cohen, our very own Harav Menachem Lomder Shlita, Achron's father, Chaim Meir Mendel. Without their persistence and insistence that this dream was going to happen, it may very well have died on the drawing board. Thank you very much to all of you. I just want to mention that on the tables in front of you, you'll see, placed amongst the table, our mailing lists, our email lists. It would be greatly appreciated. I know it becomes a source of frustration when people don't become notified of things, or when things are labeled wrong. If we could update our lists, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, I just want to take a moment to mention that a very generous member of our alumni, very good friend, somebody who's always available for everything whenever we need him, and who has assisted greatly in this project, has stepped forward just about the block Gemara, Rashi, and Tosfos. What Yeshiva Staten Island has long been about is living Torah, is making Torah a part of the fabric of our lives. It's not something that's for in the Beit HaMedrash during Seder. It's something which is for every second of our lives. And indeed, when somebody lives that way, then the Torah HaKadoshah permeates his soul, it permeates his being, and like the Banal Shlita said, it changes a person. It makes him into what we call a Ben Torah. Ben Torah is not a white shirt, black hat. Ben Torah, Yeshiva Zatzal wrote in his tshuva on the theme of Talmud Torah. He wrote, somebody was pushing that the term of Ben Torah should be used to refer to anybody who went to Yeshiva, learned for a few years, and if he, whatever he did, whatever he went out to do, as long as he somehow maintains that picture, we should call him a Ben Torah. The Yeshiva Zatzal said that a Ben Torah is somebody who dedicates his life to Torah. The Yeshiva Zatzal wrote, he said, if we're going to start using the term Ben Torah for anyone, we'll cheapen it. Why should I put in long hours, long hard hours, struggling over a thesis? Why should I spend long hours trying if I can live like everybody else and just put on the right hat and call myself a Ben Torah? So a Ben Torah, the Yeshiva Zatzal writes, somebody who lives a life of Torah 24/7. That's a Ben Torah. That's what Yeshiva Staten stands for. How has it been done? The answer is sitting here on the dais. Rav Mintz, Shlita, together with his Rebbetzim, coming every Shabbos, every other Shabbos, for what? 50 years? He's close to it. Being there constantly, all the time, early in the morning, late at night, being a semel of what it means, not just in the Bais Medrash, but in Shir, in the Bais Medrash, but also by everything else. What a davening should look like, what a Shabbos Suda should look like, what Semiras should sound like, what a Purim Suda is like. Everything that we've seen, everything that we've gained, it's a Torah that permeates our entire life. The great covenant to call upon Rav Mintz and ask Rav Mintz to give us the Rebbe.
You had a meeting about the what's going to happen today, what and when and where, what time, and what the opposing to be. So discussing it, said that it's so for him to interfere with the tea sheet of the prayer. Doesn't want that to happen. So that's planned in such a way that it shouldn't disturb the sheep. So I told her that you know, be diligent. We both were very thinking that the Lord was that. Cover the Torah. How do you cover that Torah? What's that over there? Torah, be diligent. Torah, was a riot. No riot from the cover up there. One of our mother, so yourself, outside, do that thing. So you see that cover that Torah is a notch higher than the middle of Torah. So something, that's what's going to be done. Something, you cover that Torah. Anyway, okay. So clearing why is cover the Torah bigger than the middle of Torah. Great. We have here the motion of the Chinuch. Two Rishonim over here. One is in the mitzvah Talik Ches, Arichas Teres Amikdash. Rambam. Yara, I say, Nadu. Those two are Nadu is one mitzvah, and Yara is the fifth mitzvah. Rambam, Aricha means Hanok. Shosh HaMitzvah. So Hashem's Torah is there, not like the prophet, and not like the Bais. God will profess only the way. Those who wanted to have neighbors turning to the script, the covering and those who like to make it godless the Bais, the covering of the Pharaohs that in the way. The seeing neighbors makes a prophet and beautifying in the eyes of people. See, and that when they eat the strawberry, the thing, the very milk, people in the houses, they want like the coveting, looking at the coveting in his house. He likes parrots, right around him, was make right. He's not vulnerable. And what is the kingdom? Like, she got this whole new legal. She made it. Where did I know? Because he sees, it's a victim. See, the public, I again, the public, and where did I know? My son, that's my son, that's the spell of the so that's the heat of the covenant of his hand. So true that since it's a better to get hot, you have to look at it the same way. Talking about covenant. What's the purpose of it? Covenant Torah. Covenant Torah was not out. Everybody gets together and dance the way it was make it together. All the life freedom. Covenant Torah. What's the time of Covenant Torah? Moira, Bano. Same notion introduces very well by third service. It's a big deal. Third service. Church of Institute. Mountain, the hand of program Bais. Leaders for lots and work. Until the covenant Bais and the mailer, the fiber, the warehouse. So that's the same because service, prayer. It's like people handle the symptom. The person has a love from it. The mailer, looking at the victim. The mailer makes the covenant of his so this is the same result that the same. making the covenant, making the vow, which is the aim, Lucia, yeah, it's a covenant. We see every day, we say the covenant is a good person members, covenant person members, Hashem, realize what happened, what is his highest, that's the difference he can't decide about. President, person members, the aim, and so, what about what was never have this follow the sympathy that Bais Hashem was mentioned before. Bais Hashem, Allah Torah, the Simcha, taking this knowledge at night and keep it going and the field to the future. The Kaisa, what is the Kaisa? It's not. It's all about right? I love you. Simcha. Talk about those people that their names are respected, special people, rather say on the public, with this religious birth, in both Chanukas, Yeshivas, Yeshiva society, look at that name, and the disciples, redemption, the disciples we stood for, president, you see that name? That's the source for them. Then the Shabbos wasn't part of it. Shabbos held over the mention. They were very the disciples and the way Because the fact that it's not, I myself, the first meeting I had was 15 years ago about him. Fear, I was there for the book myself. Yeshiva pushed it there. At that time, there were 2 kids around, 6 kids. And the fact was, they didn't have a Bais Medrash. The fact was that they lived outside. Their condition was coffee, the children were not, something around. And they lived outside in the country, each school. The parents said, if we have a camp, we have to have Bais Medrash. Have them sitting all over the place, teased around, and walking, and then build Yeshiva in the country, because have to have a Bais Medrash, you have to have air conditioning. Otherwise, they just said, so, of course, we got to a few campsites.
A short horse cord and an extender. Where could they go?
I love it.
What? Now we're good?
Set up the headphones, otherwise you're going to get an AV signal. It's going to freak out here.
I didn't get a picture of
Watch the wire.
The pasuk in Parshas Vayakhel, the pasuk says, "Vayikra Moshe B'Tzalel v'Ahaliyah." Moshe Rabbeinu called B'Tzalel and Ahaliyah, one to build Mishkan Kelim. Ve'al kol Yishkach HaLev Asher Nosan Hashem Chachma V'Libay. Moshe Rabbeinu called out to the Chachamim, the Chachmei Lev, who had the knowledge, the ability to know how to build Kelim and how to build the Mishkan. Asher Nosan Hashem Chachma V'Libay. The ones that the Rebbeinu Shalom imbued with Chachma. Then the pasuk goes on to say who these people are. The pasuk says, "Chayil asher nisa'ol libay lekarva el hamalacha la'asais oisa." All those who their hearts moved them, and they wanted to come close. Lekarva el hamalacha, to come close to the malacha la'asais oisa. What we can see from here is that the Rebbeinu Shalom gives the Chachma, the Rebbeinu Shalom gives the know-how to those who have it in their hearts to want to do it. I did not meet Bobby until today, but I told Bobby when I met him today that I feel like I know him very well. Over the last several weeks, dealing with Jerusalem stone and measurements and keystones and grout and windows and all sorts of various measurements and live edge, etc., etc. I came to know Bobby. And one thing is clear. Bobby's heart, not just his blood, sweat, and tears, but his heart is in the project. And that's why the Rebbeinu Shalom gave him the know-how to do what he has done and to carry this out and make this Bais Medrash a reality. Bobby, if I could ask you to come up for a moment, the Rosh Yeshiva Shlita would like to present you with something. That wasn't a request. So up you come. When we discussed what to give Bobby, I was told that there are two things that move his heart: Eretz Yisrael and the Yeshiva. We're going to try to be the kind of both. I can't. Bobby, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank I have a faith. Good, right? And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Yaakov Goldman for a moment.
I got it.
Radio wasn't radio. Is anyone on the radio for Yapo? Could you please set up front for order?
Thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything that my family and I needed to get us to where we are today. I want to begin by thanking your Yeshiva Shlita for giving me the opportunity to work here in camp and helping me with every single aspect of camp with his breakfast, tefillah, and a drapa. A special thank you to my parents for helping me in so many ways, many of them that no one will ever know, especially with this building and for coming here today. I was not planning on speaking today, but due to a last-minute cancellation, I am the one here to say thank you to the people who built this Bais Medrash building. With Bobby Jacobs' guidance, the Bais Medrash was built by the camp staff under the direction of our leader, Tzvi Heinemann. There has not been a plumber, nor electrician, nor mason that was ever here in the Bais Medrash building, or did any of the work. Everything was done by the camp staff, with Tzvi leading the way. The amazing staff doesn't stop there. Everything made by this Suda was also made by the Bakrim that are part of the camp staff from the kitchen. Tzvi, on behalf of the Yeshiva, we'd like to please present you with the Shulchan Aruch that we ask you to accept as a small token of our appreciation.
I think you're supposed to go to the Yeshiva and get a picture of them.
I want to end with the biggest thank you of all. While we were all working and getting to watch each piece fall into place, my wife did everything possible while working a full-time job to let me come up as often as I wanted or needed, and spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours over the last few years working on the Bais Medrash project. It took help from the camp shmigger, the sisters-in-law, and many helpers. But through making Shabbos for the staff in the city and upstate, making your schedule around whatever the camp needs, and everything that you do that we can't mention, that is the only way that this happened. Thank you.
Gemara in Yuma, Aleph Amud Aleph, Amar of Levi, Darazem Mesaris Biyadenu Me'avisenu, Makai Ma'arai Neino Min Amida. The Aron HaKodesh and the Kachei Kachim did not take up any physical space.
Rashi says the Kachei Kachim was 20 amas wide. If you measured from one side of the Aron Kodesh to the wall, you had 10 amas. If you went to the other side of the Aron HaKodesh and you measured to the opposite wall, you had 10 amas. So the Aron HaKodesh itself took up no physical space. Why would the Rebbeinu Shalom make such an ace? What's the point of it? Obviously there's a point. The only one who saw it was the Kohen Gadol, if you can even see it. I don't know if it's an ace that's near Nayim, or you have to have a tape measure. And the Kohen Gadol couldn't go in there and do it with a tape measure. He was only allowed to go in there to do the Avodah. So what's the purpose? Chazal told it to us, so there's something we need to learn. Famous Besos Yesharim says in Parak Aleph that we are all put into a Milchama the day we're born. Milchama Gedola between Ruchnius and Gashmius, oil and water. They don't mix. The Bais Medrash and the Aron HaKodesh are physical objects. The Aron HaKodesh was made out of golden wood. It wasn't made out of anything supernatural. But inside it was a luchos, with the Michtav Elikim Charos ala luchos. We can, by living by the words of the Torah, by Asiyas HaMitzvahs, we can elevate the Gashmias to the point where it becomes Ruchnius. By imbuing and infusing the Aron HaKodesh with the Ruchnius of the Luchais, of the Michtav Elikim, we had the physicality, the Gashmias of the Aron HaKodesh that was elevated to a point of Ruchni, where it no longer took up space. And as long as we had a Beis HaMikdash, that hashpah was here on this world, and it helped us to accomplish that in our lives. We had help. The same way the Shulchan gave us a hashpah of Parnasa, and the Menorah gave us a hashpah of the Or HaTorah, so a Shnar Taisus was a little bit easier. The same way when we had that Or HaKodesh in the Kachei Kachim, our Milchama was a little bit of an easier Milchama. We're celebrating today a binyan, which is physical. Ultimately, it's built out of wood, stone, wires, glass. It's Dvarim Gashmian. But when we take the neshama, when we take the Ochrim, the Yudalite, when we take the Amelus of Torah, and we put it into that Gashmias, that's when we give it a neshama, and that's when we elevate that Gashmias to a Dvar Ruchni. The Torah that has the ability to do that is the Torah that comes with Amelus. It's like the Manal spoke earlier, the Machamtoi Shel Torah, the Eish of Torah. It's a great covet to call upon our Maggid Shir, Rav Yisrael Ginsburg Shlita, to give us Divrei Bracha.
It was mentioned earlier, today's event, today's Simcha, it's an event of Kabbalah Torah and an event of Chanukas Habayis. But for me personally, and I name this for a lot of people, this is actually a Simcha of Torah itself. The fact that this building was built is Torah itself. I want to say over a letter from Rabbi Yisrael Salanter in Or Yisrael. He said just a few words. He's writing to a Chabura And he says, I want to be you of Vachizuk, Bais Medrash, Laharchiv Torah. He's more them on the Indian that they should make sure to build the Bais Medrash of a Bais Medrash Laharchiv Torah. And he says, Ein al Ofra Mishol. There's nothing on this world that could compare to Chizuk Bais Medrash Laharchiv Torah. They bring down here in the bottom, there's a Yalkut, in the name of the Medrash Al-Chum. On the pasuk it says, Chochma is bachutz Torah. For Choyva is Titei Koila. So the Medrash brings down a story. Shoah Reb Shmuel bar Tanachmeni es Yivon She'oive Bashuk. Amalei told him, Shnoli Perik Echa, teach me a Perik. He was sitting on the street in the shuk, and he said to him, teach me a Perik. So he answered him, he told him, Leicha Beis Alimud, go to your Beis Alimud, the Bais Medrash, the Esh Noischa, and that's where I'm going to teach you the Perik. So he told him, I have a question. Didn't you teach us Chochma is Bachutz Torah, that it has to be taught outside? Amalei, in Karisa, if you learn Mikra, Rosh Nisa, the Chutza Shel Torah. Chutza means the Chutza Shel Torah. And he told him, Hamagolius, where do you keep a Magolius? Eichaninam Keres, outside or in the school? Kach Torah. For Choyva is Titei Koila, where b'mokam shemachidu moisa, in the place where the market the Torah. B'botik Nesiyos and B'botik Medrashos. So the Shosvalanta said that a Bais Medrash is a place laharchiv Torah, the vibrator Torah. How do you vibrate the Torah? You vibrate the Torah because you have Yishur Adas and Luchas HaNefesh and the full concentration. That's how you marchiv Torah. There was mentioned before a little history. I don't remember so far back, but my history goes back almost 40 years. And when I came the first time to this camp, and the Menal Ruchni of Gershon Zechariah, he said, I don't have a room for you to say a shir, but I'll give you a nice table and you'll say it outside. So I tried one day, and some buckets were looking here, looking there. It wasn't for me. So I went back and I said, I can't say a shir outside. So he said, you know what, I have a certain place, underneath the kitchen, underneath there's a vegetable room there with a table. We'll try that. I tried that too. It wasn't so much. So I decided I'm going to say the shir in my bungalow. And my wife was Bais Nefesh, and she had to leave the bungalow. And we said the shir in the bungalow till they made oil olive, and then I sheared it with the can. And sometimes it clashed, the times it clashed. And this goes by a long history. So when the Zoiche, Tazoyim B'dimma Marina Yitzoyu, that finally we have the Zoiche to a beautiful building with a Chavas Hadas, a Bais Medrash that's L'Shem Tiferes, that anybody who comes here is Mefoyer Meroimen, and it encourages the learning of Torah for two reasons. First of all, encourage the Torah because we need the comfort. We need it today. The Eibishter knows what we need, and He gives us this. This is a matana from the Eibishter. Of course, it goes through all the shluchah rachmana that showed to. But the end is, it's a matana that the Eibishter gave to Staten Island Yeshiva. Maybe it's the schuz of all the iyun of Torah and all the Harbani of Torah that went on all these years. We were zoicha to a special matana, that we have a place, we have a mokum, we have a place. It's brought down from the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim said the following: People think that you build a yeshiva with money. He says that's not the way you build a yeshiva. The way I saw brought down was, he said you need three things to build a yeshiva. You need a place, and it should be done with the right kavanah, and you need tears. Three things you need to build a yeshiva. The evidence is that those three things were the service of the first yeshiva that was made. It's makubal in the Messiah that Reb Chaim Volozhiner was the miyasid of the whole concept of our yeshivas, the Messiah we have in our yeshivas, the Messiah is from Reb Chaim Volozhiner. Reb Chaim Volozhiner came up with the idea. He saw the matzah of Torah in his time, and before his time, Torah was studied, was learned in the shuls and Bais Medrashim of every small town, and the few bachrim in that town would learn together in that small place. And he saw that Torah was not flourishing that way. He felt that if you get together the Tziyonim from all over, and you gather them together in one place, and there will be a Seifim, there'll be a Kol Torah, and there'll be a Pilpul Chaverim, and there'll be Shiurim. It's absolutely necessary for Torah to grow. Without it, Chas v'Shalom, he was afraid that Torah would not flourish for God. And the way the Sipur is said over, that he went to the Goyen. Goyen was his Rebbe, the Gra was his Rebbe, and he told the Gra his idea of making a yeshiva, but he was so excited, I was so convinced that this is going to save Torah. When he sent it over to the Gra, he was asking the Gra's opinion, the Gra's Rishus, the Gra's Haskama, the Gra's Bracha. He sent it over with such a tremendous excitement. And the Slavas and the Stylus, and the Gra just kept quiet. Didn't say a thing. And Chaim Volozhiner split it to mean that Sheval Tas. So even though he didn't understand, but the Rebbe haste, so he went back home. It went by a while, and again it was disturbed by him. How is it shaykh? It's not possible that Torah should flourish without a yeshiva. You have to have a yeshiva. So he decided he's going back to the Gra. And this time he went with trepidation, with pachat, with ema, and he showed for his idea. And the Gra said, it's a tremendous idea. It's a gewaltige Sache. So Chaim Volozhiner asked his Rebbe the question, so if it's such a gewaltige idea, why did you push me off? So the Gra explained to him, because the first time you came with such a brand, with such a slavis, and it sounded like it was your idea. And Memela, I was afraid that there'll be a shikul shalom lishma. And if there's a shikul shalom lishma, the hatzlacha of the yeshiva will not be the way it should be. And therefore I didn't let you do it. But now you came, and you said it over, and I saw you really mean the emes, nothing to do with yourself, then now your yeshiva is going to be matzliach, and go ahead and do it. It took a while, this was in the Gra's lifetime, but it took a while when he finally made yeshiva, was ready after the period of the Gra. And by the Even Apina, when the Shalbavek, the Even Apina of the Volozhiner yeshiva, so a Talmud of Reb Chaim Volozhiner, a Hazed Rav Yosef, the Rav from Aishishot, he said that he bears witness that at the time of the Even Apina, Reb Chaim Volozhiner poured out Treren after Treren, so much Treren that there was there was water enough to mix the cement with it. And they used it to mix the cement, and they built the yeshiva with Reb Chaim Volozhiner's tears. And with those tears, the yeshiva was built. But even when he made the yeshiva, he gathered the London from all the Shteplach, but he still didn't have a place. He didn't have a Bais. He didn't have a Bais Medrash, his own place. They lived in the Shtat Shul. The Chaim Volozhin saw that it's no good. Because if the shear, the building with Balabatim, so they have their requirements and their requests and their needs, and it shares the oil. Besides that, the oil feels like they're only gated, they're not the main citizens of the place. It's not good for their ego. It's not good for the Torah. And they took upon himself to build this building, and that's. In the time when he put the heaven at Pina and he poured out his tears, and from Balozhin, I think they said there was around 10 years, a decade, till they finally built the building. It was a decade. And this yeshiva of Balozhin, they call it the Ema Yeshivas. And all the yeshivas that came later are all from the Messiah of Balozhin. All the yeshivas in Poland and Elita. We're all following the Messiah of Balozhin, their direct hashpah from the koyach of Balozhin. So Kumtois, that when the Chavetz Chaim said that you need three things to make a yeshiva. You need a mokim, and you need to have the right kavanah, and you have to have Trerim. His pashtus, his moker was Balozhin. Because the Chaim Volozhin showed that the yeshiva needs a mokim. And the Grosh showed that you have to have the right kavanah. And the Chaim Volozhin is because it's rare. And that's how you build a mokim Torah yeshiva. But a major ingredient in the yeshiva is to have a mokim that we could call our own, and we could be proud of our mokim. And the mokim shows the yeshivas HaTorah. The mokim itself shows that this is a place for Bnei Torah. And one of the things it says Chaim Volozhin was the Sakin was because they used to call a Bnei Torah Amo a yeshiva boch. And they bring down that Chaim Volozhin didn't like that name, and he was the one that coined the expression yeshiva man, yeshiva light, with a yeshiva boch. So part of a yeshiva steiging requires a mokim and together with the cover, that's what brings out the Gavras HaTorah. I wanted to show too, there's a Mishnah in Obis. Yosef ben Yozer is straight of Yosef ben Yozer is Mishran Kippur lehem. Yosef ben Yozer is straight oimer. He beis vav lachachom. They have been Mesabed B'Afar Aglein. Then Yishoyse Batzom is the rain. So the Chassid Yaivitz explains what are these three things that are necessary for Torah. The Tana is showing about three things that are necessary for Torah. So he says, Torah is something that doesn't come easy. Torah is something that until you kind of Torah. So the first thing is he says, it has to be that's your house. It's not something you hear a word here and you hear a word there. It has to be your house. It has to be the kvius. That's where you live. That's your kvius. Otherwise, you can't get Torah. But then he says there's a kvius of the because if a person is in a house, he feels kavua in yeshiva, like it happens too often. The bocha it comes kavua in yeshiva, so he gets to feel like he loses his cheshik, his geshmak. So he says that's why you have to have the other things also. That in the Sabbath B'Afar Aglein, he learns that's hachnoya. If you're machniing yourself and you're mavaking yourself, then you never lose your appreciation to the yeshiva. And the last thing is that we show yourself at Soma, because sometimes you get zat, but Torah has to be learned with Soma, with thirst, and always want to get more and more. And he puts it into the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Kibi choshak ba'al falteyu." Choshak, ches is cheshek, shin is shifrus, and kuf is kvius. Kuf is kvius. So So the Chavetz Chaim said you need three things to build a yeshiva, for Hatzlacha of yeshiva. You need a mokum, you need a kfiyas. You have to have a place that you kavu in. This is your home, this is your place, a kfiyas. You have to have the right kavanah, the right sugan. The right kavanah is, that's the cheshik. You learn Torah Shmo because you have a geschmack in Torah, and everything else pales like that. Nothing is important. Everything is hevel avolim. That's the cheshik. You have the right sugan to Torah Shmo. And the Tverin, that's the shifus. That your Tverin is tefillah. Tefillah, the Chavis of is achnoye. And the Tverin is the shifus. So these are the three ingredients that you need for Torah. You have to have a mokum. You have to have shifus. You have to have cheshik. There's another story told about Rechaim Volozhin. In the Sefer about Rechaim Volozhin, they bring down that there was another time when Rechaim Volozhin cried. Besides that he cried when there was the Even Apina, and then the B'chiyas war for that Hatzlacha of the Yeshiva, and his B'chiyas tutored tremendously, because Volozhin, after all, that produced all the dairy Torah that we have are all products of Volozhin. Reb Chaim Brisker, Reb Shimon Shkop, Reb Bar, the list goes on and on. This is the Hatzlacha of the Yeshiva Volozhin. But there's another story that's told over about the B'chiyas of Rechaim Volozhin. And the story goes like this. That one time in the middle of Shachris, all of a sudden, Reb Chaim Volozhin broke out in a tremendous B'chiyah. Mamish million arose, he couldn't hold himself out, he couldn't stop. Finally, he got control of himself. And then he continued davening, and again, he started crying and crying with a tremendous b'chiyas. And then he stopped. The Talmidim were frightened. They knew something was going on, but they didn't understand what is going on here. So they sent in the Choshek Talmud of Chaim Volozhin, the David Tevel, the Nachlas David. He should go in here to the Rebbe, what's going on here? The Chaim Volozhin was in his room, and he knocked on the door, and he said, Rebbe, we're all worried. So the Chaim Volozhin said like this, that I wasn't planning on telling you what happened. But the Baal Davish made it, that I broke out in this chiyah in front of all of you. My son said the Abishter wants that I should tell you. And this is what he told him. He told him, you should know, my kid, that the Yiddishkeit Torah in Europe is going to have a geferlich chorban. Torah and the Yidden in Europe are going to be oiserissim. He foresaw what we know already, the akira of Yiddishkeit and Torah from Europe. So he asked him, and then he said, well, why did you stop? He said, because I saw that the yeshiva is not going to be chorah. The Yesod of yeshivas is not going to be chorah. It's going to go to a new place called America. That's where it's going to be. And he asked him, so why did you cry? So he said, I cried because the plan Torah America is going to come with tremendous shverkeit. And who knows whether those who will be given the shlichus to plant and to pick up Torah in America, whether they'll be matzliach to bring up Torah to the standards, to the true standards of Torah. And he doesn't know, and that's why he cried again. Rabbi say, Reb Chaim Volozhin is b'chiyas, again, for sure, certainly Tudov. This b'chiyas Tudov, as much as it was a korban of Europe, but the Rebbeinu Shalom made a sheres hapleita, and specifically the sheres hapleita of a major yeshiva. The major yeshiva in Shanghai was Nitzel. Maybe got solar nes following. And the Mashgiach of the yeshiva wanted to bring the yeshiva to Eretz Yisrael, not to America. And he tried with all his might to get the yeshiva to go to Eretz Yisrael. He did everything possible under the world. And the Bershom's Hashgacha didn't allow it. And he was forced to bring the yeshiva to America. Because Reb Chaim Volozhin gesagt that the letzte Stanzie von Torah wird sein in America. The letzte Stanzie, the last station before Mashiach, is going to be America. And because the Mir Yeshiva came here, Torah was able to flourish here. And you take any yeshiva that doesn't have a mirror talent, I feel like the Sifta Tever Yerushalayim, the Mashgiach, the Bichel, even Hashanchaya. Take any yeshiva. Any yeshiva is geboit from the Mir Yeshiva. That's what built Torah in America. So the B'chiyas of Reb Chaim Volozhin are too rough. And we're standing here today. The evidence is that when I was a bocher, and even before me, it was very, very skeptical whether Torah would grow in America. Very, very skeptical. There were tremendous nisyonos, college, and other things were very, very skeptical. But our Rebbeim, they weathered the storm, and they were able to bring and to flourish Torah. And today we see the products of their amelus. We see the products that today's Torah, Yeshiva, today's Bnei Torah. The Bnei Torah today, they schlep the Torah. They schlep the Rebbeim. They schlep the Torah. Torah is here. Torah is growing. Torah is going weiter. The truth is, mostly I can speak for this issue, because I see it b'chush this issue. I see Yerei Shleiman, Bochum that are learning by Smother Rabba, Bochum that want to shine lights, Bochum that are horrible, that miyageh themselves to learn Torah, mamish, the way that was taught Torah was given over. You know that even when Reb Chaim Brisker Sefer, the Bisrael wanted to give out Reb Chaim Brisker Sefer, he was questioning whether he should give it out. He didn't know whether the Bnei Torah will be able to be massive, what Reb Chaim says. And I know a story that he had. My father's a Chaim Rocha, and I think it was Reb Michael Feinstein, learning them. He gave them the ksavim to learn, and he was watching them learn it. And he wanted to see if they if they could understand their Chaim. The Birch Shmuel Sefer in the beginning was out of bounds, wasn't the Birch Shmuel. And today you have Bnei Torah that are holding with the sugyas of the Chaim of Robert and taking the svaras and going further with the svaras, understanding other sugyas and other places and enlightening the Gans Torah with it. Reb Chaim Volozhin is swearing at Ugetok. And that's the simcha that we're prouding today. Bezunde b'yuchet, azoy medimba b'rina yetzoyru, shechiyonu v'kiyimonu v'giyonu l'azman hazeh. This building is Torah, and all those that have the schus and the yad in producing and building this mokim, they have a schus and a yad in Torah. And the siyata d'shmaya, the Eidah should give, that the Torah should go weiter. And because of this beautiful building, because of this pe'er v'hodah, this kelim alveyu, we all should recognize the chshivas of Torah. We should all grow in hours of Torah. We should all grow in shtayim in Torah. And the Torah should flourish and flourish. Ad bias goyim b'heir v'yameinu amen. Amen.
Yes. Akaras HaToiv is sometimes a difficult thing. There are those who simply don't want to be on the receiving end of it. But they have to be, because we owe it to them. This project would have never gotten off the ground without two people stepping up to the plate and saying, go for it. We will back it. And that would be the Miller brothers. From the Holy and the Twitter. The problem is that they don't receive very well, but we found something that they do receive, and that is the ability to give. Another debt of Akaras HaToiv that's very hard for us to pay, impossible for us to pay, is the debt that we have to Moiri V'Rabbi, Moreinu V'Rabbeinu, the Yeshiva Shlita. How on earth do we say thank you? The Gemara says, Rabbi Shaladam Aviyah La'olam Haba. I say personally for myself, my family, I don't even have words. I don't know where I'd be. It's not for the Yeshiva Shlita. Where would we be? Yeshiva Sainu Akdaisha, the Yeshiva Shlita following the ways of the Yeshiva Zatzal. But how does one say thank you? Very difficult. But I think we may have hit the jackpot with both. I have here this is a letter that was written to the Yeshiva Shlita many years ago. Instead of reading it and saying who it's from, I'm going to read the signature line. Imcha Toyreshes Shloimcha Toiv Ba'ava V'hineni Avicha Ayhavcha Moshe Feinstein. This is the original of a tshuva that was written to the Yeshiva Shlita many years ago, and somehow over the course of time managed to vanish. And through the help, the work of several Talmidim, it was rediscovered. And I'd like to ask Rav Naftali to present it to the Yeshiva as a token of our Akaras HaToiv. Speaking of the Millers, They didn't come from a vacuum. The Yeshiva Shlita tells me that Reb Naftali, Reb Shmuel's mother, Mrs. Blank, Alei Shalom, was a pillar of the Lower East Side, of the Chanukas, who loved people. And it's that love of people that has given rise to the Miller brothers, who do so much. And I mean, I worked with Naftali a little bit on this event, and it's impossible to reach him. Why is it impossible to reach him? Because he's busy with Chastelei, and he's busy with the Aguda, and he's busy with this, and he's busy with that. And everybody who's planning something like this has him on speed dial. Baruch Hashem, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. We can't possibly thank you enough. Thank you. Finally, I'm sure there are those that I missed on the list of thank yous. Please don't take it as a slight in any way. Ich bin schuldig. I'll take the blame. It's impossible to keep track of everyone and everything. As I look around the room, I look at the kitchen crew, and I look at everybody else that's involved in everything that went on here. There's the one person who everybody knows who he is who says I can't thank him because if I do, he'll burn my house down. You probably all know who he is. So thank you to him too. And now, Achron Chaved, it's a great cover to ask the Yeshiva Shlita to speak for us.
Since I'm last, it may sound funny reading because they welcome. Welcome to Yeshiva. Chanukas Habayis, Bais Medrash, camp Yeshiva Staten. Now, people ask, camp? What does camp mean? Bais Medrash. You go get a bond, you learn a couple hours, it's over. Why do you need such a building? So, I can really say that the camp usually is I don't know what we have to make, but I guess, this is making something different, I guess. I don't know if we have to collect money. That would have been one reason. But my say, when you go to a country, it's called a camp. There is, there are no differences here, or really is two differences here than in the city. The high school has no English, so they can now spend the whole day learning and teaching and producing this stuff. And this building, even though the time is about the same, it shifted a little bit to permit for swimming. But that's it. The rest of the time, it's all the same. It's all the same. So again, so why are we here? Why not stay in the city today? This you have, she shifted this vision for what the purpose of camp was, or we call it the summer campus, upstate campus, something like that. Fancy names. He held that this would be the yeshiva for Jewish Talmid Chacham. Now, what does that mean? In Edison, what happens? And the city always goes to the name of Chanukas Habayis, the learning the books and so on. So how do you Chanukas Habayis? Not like that, we'll hang around the Talmud Chacham, and whatever he needs, we'll go do it. And I'll take the shoes down. The only trouble with that is when the Rebbe sees, the Talmud Chacham sees this guy hanging around, he figures he wants to learn something, so then he's going to start teaching him what he feels the Talmud needs. But the Talmud is not going to get to see Torah in action. He's only going to see again being taught. And he is to control the Torah of the city, or the regular Torah, that's footwork. Torah, when you have shoes coming down the corner, that's how you put it in mass. In other words, when you say this and this, what does it mean? Now, why would we need such a yeshiva for? Because the yeshiva used to learn in Chanukas Habayis that when you use the lotion Bais Medrash, when you use the Chanukas Habayis, it means to call it the. So whatever the special laws of Torah Duma have to do, they apply to Palateraku. One of them is the simple fact that it's a little contradicting. In other words, it's not really hypnotized anyone, but it's easy from out. It's mafshir kaya. On the other hand, it's not anybody to say it. So it's a steal. But then he said everything was Torah. For instance, talking about Torah, the covenant is an important thing, right? So, should he give cover to somebody or not? Or anyone not give cover to somebody? That knows what about himself? What he said. Then he goes in the background. If someone takes from you whatever you did, you're supposed to be forgiving. You know, to get about, you're about it. On the other hand, if you take from someone and put in the Kader, give him a whole option. That's the Havash you have to feel. The Pshat is that I can't touch you. I'm going to put it. So these are just minor ones in the sense of they're obvious ones. But they can be more, I guess, delicate ones are when you're in the town or in the Africa. How do you deal with your wife and kids? When you go schooling your kids, what do you do? These are different things that a person has with no schools for. And there's no actual thing. You can only learn this on the Torah by watching. But the trouble is you can't watch them without them knowing you're watching them, because of that, they're teaching you. You don't have to watch them. So what happens is, if you can't, what happens is we all live together, and we all pass each other's things, and we would hear and watch the kids, and we see the kids, and we see the way they're interacting with their families, with their parents, the girl interacting with their families, with their wives. And I think when they see a different angle, the first when they see the service happening, it's very important. You find interesting, not as long as it's over the oil, because basically, after the Staten the relation with Mechayiv, oil Zedach, with Mechayiv, Mincha, and Sofer. And whatever you're accomplishing with the animal, because you all realize that the animal's life is not in your hands, Yad Hashem. So you're also supposed to realize that when you think things are in your hands, it's also not in your hands. That's what you have to acknowledge. But then the Torah says, that's how I describe it. I want you to enjoy it. I want Yain Samak Labanish. I want you to enjoy the Torah. I want you to enjoy living the Torah. It's not the point, it's not a tragedy, it's not what do you call it? It's a thing, it's a joy of living the Torah. And that's what we have to get to understand. That's what it says. They say, by being you. We know that the importance of the Bais Medrash and the Knesset, a nice lower, the rock of Bilam, lower Bilam, was mentioned in the mitzvah. That my favorite of Yaakov was in reality of life. The problem was, look at the families, you don't need the Torah. You don't need Yeshivas in any Bais Medrash. And there was a period of time like that in America. That what do you need? The things that you will call a Torah, you teach the kids in Kaddish, and that's enough. You got to know the midas of what. And the truth was probably the first, there were a lot of Bnei Torah, not Bnei Chesed, that were not even true, but they remembered the Bubba. Remember saying something about you have to be stuck in, everybody friends. At least that memory. Now you don't have that. They whatever it is there. So all of a sudden, you lost the whole connection to Bar Yisrael, as far as that goes. As far as the basic leaders of Avraham Avinu, Aishim, Achman. So we see how important that was. And yet, the range of them like they were those people that the only kvora, a bracha, whatever you call it, the ones, that the lady should be made into a bracha. Only one that says it. A bracha, it's a kvora with bracha. That is, you name a whole bunch of them, you never see one. The only one that was turned to the bracha is my favorite Yaakov. In other words, the yeshivas are going to flourish, no matter what it is, no matter what it's always going to have, whatever we're going to have, we're always going to have yeshivas. And here, the Bais Medrash himself closed up all the yeshivas on what they were blessing in all the world. Not just the one who happened in the place, but the whole world. You had to be guys cheating a little bit, whatever it is, but there was no market really for anything serious. It was all mentioned. We spoke about reasons, about my person, whatever it is, I'm not going into that. But I would say that we have to think about our learning, we have to think about our davening. No, that is felt in what the Bais Medrash doesn't want something. And this point, obviously, we mentioned that Bais Medrash, and hopefully soon, because the Bais Medrash is a little bit of a rush. We have holding 81 now. So 19 years, the year 5800. From the Ramban to the Shia should be here 5800. It's 19 years. And it's a little bit to make it. So obviously, there's no guidance that's going to actually be. The nation's going to be. So the other is you're supposed to have the Mason before that, the Mashiach, the Islamic version. And then you first go into Elam Abbas, which is concept. So, we're arranging, and the other half was going to petition, they say. You're not doing the right thing. And then when I got there, they go, I shouldn't go, that's one of the things the tension is going to be Mount Bill at that time. Most of what's that mean? 100 times, 101 times. Right? I mean, the 101 times, what's the difference? 100 times, we don't even know 3 times. What are you talking about 101 times? But when I said, they strike me there's a chilek in the ideas that there probably is no chilek. But the one in the Torah, because I love the Torah, because it's the ancient gate the Torah, and there's something, and you see that even there is the tears, you like to read a letter, right? You may have read it many times, and you may go backwards and forwards. But I thought you came, you like the way it was written, and you're going to read it over again, and over again, and over again. The Torah was written by the Kodesh. So I want to know what he wrote, what he was again.
again and again and again, even if it doesn't add any more customers to me. I just want to read it again. And that's what the difference is. We can't show it obviously in the time, but we have to show it in other ways. We have the elders that say it because it's the Rebbeinu that say it. And this one, now, this interesting though, this building was built during COVID. What do I mean built during COVID? It's the first one I went to the Napa City. My grandson but put in all the cash. By the time he took over, this was his dream to go to the architectural firm, Mayfelds, and the figured out the plans were and everything else, and the numbers we couldn't do. Bobby came along, Jacob, and he told him, said, if we work it out, and see they've done some changes, and he did all with the shifts. It's interesting. He didn't come in and say, I'll change it, I'll do it for you. And they gave the shifts again to change things. And he did. A little bit made it shallow. Then we got, let's say, the first donation. That was a reasonable amount. That Shaykh now to have the undertaking. And he got his voice, his father, and he got his three voice. And of course, my granddaughter, the encouragement, I guess, and the serious measures that you took to make sure that he doesn't. It wasn't on the job, and he had to leave, he left. But he had to have a system, so he had to think of lots of question. Also, the team and the management team of my picture that came up, that they put in, like you mentioned before, Bayaka himself, that all the plumbing, the electricity, most of the actual building, the interior of the building, were done by them, by roofers. I don't know, I think it was 5 when I met them, but I don't know if it was bigger ones and other ones. That actually quarantined themselves up here for improving this and built it. They were up here the whole time, besides what do you call it, the Heinemann group, which was local. But I'm just saying that actually our own group that was that's in the Yeshiva, that we actually put time in by putting things living here 24/7. And then in the winter, I don't know if there was even any house that was actually winterized. Maybe there was that, I don't know, I don't want to say about that. But whatever it is, that there was much an effort to be up. Just, just going to say, now the building is complete. We were able to do what do you call it? The Chanukas Habayis. It's time for it. We did it. Later on, actually, it's struggle that we don't have to be here to just take this building with us with Mashiach, that it's a struggle, and we'll take that we could use it.
Thank you, everyone, and we will be benching momentarily.
It took her to make me realize
You need more equipment.
Got a radio. Got a radio.
Do you need help?
give me a minute, sir.
I don't know what they Where's your owl?
Sorry, what? Usually say owl.
175.
Good question. Because we know Bais Medrash, so it's